Good evening from Ghana, and welcome to our Reason Rising series. My name is Amegavi. Across the world, the number of non-religious people is growing all the time. It is estimated there are 1.1 billion people in the world who are religiously unaffiliated, which means they identify as atheists, agnostics, or describe their religion as nothing in particular. In Ghana, our last census shows that we have over 350,000 of our 32 million plus population who identify as non-religious. Reason Rising is a monthly series organized by Accra Atheists to connect like-minded people. Accra Atheists is a volunteer non-governmental organization of atheists agnostics living in Ghana who subscribe to the philosophy of humanism as a life stance, defend universal human rights, and promote critical thinking. Members of our group come from all over Ghana and even Ghanaians abroad. Accra Atheists is a member of Humanists International. Today, we are really proud and happy to have Nina join us for the third session of Reason Rising. Nina serves as the Headmaster of Humanistskolen in Oslo, Norway, a position she has held since July 2015. With a strong background in education management and policy, Nina's experience includes serving as a senior advisor at Timetable, where she led national projects related to continuing education for educational psychology services and digital learning resources. Previously, she was the Headmaster of Humanistskolen, where she established Norway's first technology school, and a coordinator teacher at the same institution. Nina holds a master's degree in education management and a master's degree in sociology, both from the University of Oslo. Her extensive leadership experience in educational settings and her commitment to knowledge developed along with the values of Humanist International. Today's talk would be a bit unusual from the previous two we've had with Mubarak and Dan. We would have Nina give us a short presentation, which will introduce all of us to Skolen, after which I'll have a short Q&A with Nina, myself, and then we'll open it up to everyone else to ask questions before we bring it to an end. So once again, Nina, thanks so much for joining us. And I'll hand over to you to start your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Akwaba, what to say? That's about what I remember from my half year in Ghana. I stayed half year in Ghana in 1998 in Kumasi, working as a volunteer in a school there. So I do know a little bit about your school system, although I'm definitely not a pro. So I'm going to give you a short presentation about the start and what we do at the Humanist School, how we interpret humanism into the education system, and just feel free to ask whatever kind of questions you'll have at the end of the presentation. So this is from the school. Actually, this is one of the teachers holding the world. I thought that was pretty cool. We do try to keep somewhat an international way of thinking at the school as well, trying to make sure that the students is aware that there are many ways of understanding the world, and that ours is already colored by our background and where we come from and where we are living. So this is important to us, although I must say this will be a partly Western kind of focus, as we are in the Western world. So that's kind of the reality we live in. So this is me and Thomas, who are running the school together. We also own the school. We started this 10 years ago in 2015, but we did try to apply. Even it took us 5 years to get to get the permission to start the humanist school in Norway. I'll get back to how that is. In Norway, most children will go in public schools. We spend a lot of money on our public schools, more than any country in the world, basically, per person, but we don't get the best results. So we are quite mediocre in the OECD when it comes to what the students know in Norway. We do have a small proportion of Christian schools, and we have Montessori, which is like a different pedagogics based school, and Steiner school, which is also half religious, half different pedagogics, really. It's a guy called Rudolf Steiner who came from Germany, who had lots of different ideas, and most of them not very rational, about how people are living their lives and how they are supposed to live it. So we do have quite a number of those kind of schools as well. When we wanted to start our own school, we were looking at how can we do this, because both me and Thomas have been working for quite some time within the public school system, and we wanted to do a lot of things quite differently than it was there. So we applied to the Directorate for Education in Norway, asking them to allow us to start up a humanistic school. They said that no, the law says no, because the only school you can start in Norway is religious, and you say that you're secular, and then we don't want you to have another school because that's not, a religious school. So, and we complained and went to the media, and we sued. We ended up suing the government for discrimination. And finally, they agreed that they could not do that. The reason why we got to start the school, after all, is because in Norway, we do have a long tradition of treating religious and non-religious life stances as the same. So Norway has the strongest humanist movement in the world by now. We have 180,000 members, which is quite huge in Norway because we're only 5 million people. Also, there will be about 1 million of those Norwegians who say that they are closest to a humanistic life stance. And the number of people being in the church is also quite decreasing. So that's the political and religious situation that we work within. When we started, we wanted not just to make a humanistic school, sorry, we wanted to make the best school ever. So we ended up, let's have a nice good look on what's going on in the school and see if we can do things in a different way, since we're already starting from scratch. So this is a slide that tries to say that. So we don't have, for instance, any textbooks at all, or any like school books that the students use. Everything is used online. All the students get a Chromebook, and the Chromebook has no way of having anything on the computer itself. It only works because it's connected online. So we do have a very strong connection in the school, because we are heavily dependent on the machines and the systems to work. So we don't have any textbooks. The reasons for that is both it's very, very expensive. Secondly, it's an interpretation of what the government wants you to learn in school, but it's just an interpretation. It might not be that we want to do it in the same way, or want to have the same kind of weight on different subjects. So we feel more free that we can find our own sources and see when we are supposed to do the different types of things we are. In Norway, you get this curriculum is for the 3 years. We do a secondary school, so it's from 13 to 15 years old who goes there. And so they are in our school for 3 years, and after those 3 years, they're supposed to be fulfilled a lot of competence aims, but they are all like after 3 years. So we decide ourselves when we want to do things. We don't have a fixed timetable. We don't use that. That is because we want to do a lot of fun things as well. One of the main problems within the secondary schools in Norway is that the students are bored to death from staying in school, because it's the teachers are talking and talking like I'm doing now, and they are not doing a lot of work. And at the end, they get a lot of tasks and they write them down, and they find, the answers in the textbook, and they write down the answers from the textbook, and that's, the learning they have. So we wanted to do something about that. We wanted to use more the world around us as a textbook. So we are traveling. We are situated in Oslo, so we are traveling all around in Oslo, visiting several things around there, trying to learn from other sources than just staying in school. So we don't have either any classes. We do have to give the students a group they belong to. So we do put them in groups of 10, but then we put together different 10 groups so that we don't have the situation where you have the bad class and the good class, because normally that will happen because there are some people who don't really mix and match too well. So then this allows us to be better at looking at who can make each other better, really. We also share all the subjects, so a teacher is never alone in one course in our school. There are always at least 2, sometimes 3, to make sure that they get the best grading and assessment that is possible, and that they get it from different sources, not just one teacher. So the profile, we say that we are a secular, humanistic, private school, which makes not much sense for for Norwegians either. They don't really understand, because the Norwegian school is not very religious, but they do have, like, in their religion studies, they do have like a 50% amount of Christianity. So it's quite heavily weighted on Christianity. And the books are not very good. So we wanted to have more of a history of religion way of talking about religion. So they still need to learn about all the different religions, and they of course also learn about humanism. And then we also have added a little bit of philosophical background as well, because we do believe that's more as important as religion for the students. Critical thinking is central in all subjects we have. So we have actually written down what is critical thinking in mathematics, in social science, in physical education, in everything, because we do want our students, like the main goal after you spend 3 years at the humanist school is that you are supposed to be able to think for yourself, be able to ask questions, be able to understand, be able to say, is this a good source or not? Can I trust this source or not? So we do work quite a lot with that, and the students are getting better and better. Also, because we don't have textbooks, this is a thing that we need to spend a lot of time on, because they need to know which sources to use or not. So we don't have a religion class, we just have philosophy, which is like broader, as I said. I wrote down, this is a German word, Bildung, because there aren't really a good translation of it into English. It's normally translated as formation, but it's not the same. It's like how to become a well-functioning, integrated, democratic person in the world, basically, is what Bildung is supposed to be, how to become a good person. So this is one of the main goals within the Norwegian school. The other is to learn, like, competence-based. So competence in different subjects and competence is becoming a person is seen as 2 equal goals to try to reach. So we have that Bildung as well as a subject in school, which takes from all the different classes, we take hours to have this. Apart from, and what they are supposed to learn there is about the world. What is colonialism? Why are everybody now screaming about transgender people, which is like a huge thing in Norway? Why are we always, why are people talking bad-mouthing other people? Why is it so important for you to be like everybody else? And so on and so on. So we try to learn them that. We also have some different free classes. We do have like humanity is one aim that they can choose. They can choose humanity, democracy, or critical thinking, and they will do different things. And these are the free classes that they have. Also, we started out with mentors, because one of the main thing, it's very strict in Norway how you can discipline kids. And we're getting more and more kids coming in with different kind of problems, especially a lot of autistic kids, a lot of kids with ADHD, with anxiety issues, with depression, with eating disorders, all of those coming in to the school, and needs a lot of things that we need to make sure that they can stay in school and within the classes. So in order to make sure that everybody can actually stay together in the same classroom, the teachers need to have a very good relations to the kids. And the only thing we have to make them do something that we want them to do is to use that relation. So like in the beginning, we don't have that relation because they don't trust us. They're not used to having teachers that they can fully trust. So it takes some time before we get there. And then in the meantime, we need to try to lean on the parents' authority for a while, which is difficult because the parents are not always agreeing with us in what is the problem. So when we call them and we're like, okay, your child is misbehaving, can you help us out here? And they're like, oh, I don't think this is so important. Is it really that way? I know he's always been, blah, blah, blah. So it's easier once you get the relation to the kids. It's so much easier. I do believe in working with the parents, but it's a lot of extra work. Okay, so the mentors, just to say that also, they have 15 minutes every week for each the students they are mentoring for. They have a maximum of 20 kids. And they can talk about both what's going on in class, how are you doing in different subjects, how are you doing socially, do you have enough friends, do you feel okay, do you have problems at home, all kinds of things. We do stick our nose into everything, more or less, and trying to make them see themselves and develop as good human beings. So this is the building subject that I talked about, and the three main focuses in that area is critical thinking, curiosity, and social skills. And you might wonder why there is a hairdresser here. The reason is I usually say that the point of this subject is becoming like a professional hairdresser, because a professional hairdresser needs the competence to talk with whoever about whatever, not coming off as an idiot. And that is the main point with that subject, really. So we want them to understand enough about the world to be a bit more sensitive to other people, to different subjects, knowing that their truth might not be everything that is to the subject, and so on and so on. And in order to do this, we also we have a pretty diverse set of teachers. Me and Thomas have tried the best we can to recruit different types of teachers with different competences, because it's very important that the children, the pupils, meet people that they can talk to about different things, and that they get, different types of people that they can talk to, understand, listen to, learning that somebody they like, someone they don't like, and be able to work through it. We also tend to have a lot of speakers coming in to talk about their things. That could be somebody, like, for instance, when we have about earthquakes, we will have somebody who specializes in that can come in and talk about earthquakes. Or they can come in and talk about the conservative movement in Norway, or elections, or psychological first aid for teenagers, whatever kind of things they need, just to give them a break, making it more interesting, trying to see if we can, do different stuff every day, so that at least, there's some times there that you feel like this has meaning for me. Like I said, we also do a lot of excursions, and we do visit like theaters. We do a lot of cultural stuff, both like theaters, concerts. I'm a huge black metal fan. It's a huge thing in Norway. And I absolutely love it. And I want them to experience a good black metal concert. So we do take them to that. We take them to opera, to ballet, to other kind of dance classes, to art exhibitions, to everything, actually. To give them both an understanding. It's not like going to the opera, you don't really learn. I can't say after watching Turandot by Puccini that, I learned so much about, I don't know, love or whatever. But you do, when they've been to the opera, they know what is it in the opera. How is it? How does it work? When do you give an applause? When do you not applaud? When do you you can read the lyrics on small screens next to your seat. You learn how to behave in different fields. Same with going to an art exhibition. And the art, we do center a lot on art, especially contemporary art, because that is quite that's quite open. The contemporary art is something that you understand and realize and get an experience in yourself. It's quite subjective. It doesn't have like a true or false answer as to what is this supposed to communicate. It kind of communicates with you, so nothing is really wrong. So it helps them to get more confident into trying to understand why they like things or why they don't like things, and trying to say something about why that is, and also to see some difference between I like this and this is good artwork. It's not the same. So we do a lot of those. As for education, we do have a different view on what the kids are supposed to do. So we are focusing on understanding, not reproduction. We are focusing on cross-curricular teaching. So when they learn about, we do have, like the indigenous people in Norway are the Sami people. They live all over Norway, but they are mostly up north where they lived from the beginning. So they are the Sami culture and competences according to Sami history and all that are in all subjects. So we try to do that together, so to make sure that they understand about the Sami culture, not that they have it one time in cooking class, another time in history class, but we try to do it at the same time. We do, as I said, try to focus on learning through experiences, to do something. We try to play a lot of video games. We do other types of games. We do have a lot of cooperation time with the students, so they are supposed to do things together, talking about things. And most importantly, I think, is loving the students. We do love them so much, and I think you need to do that to be able to be a good teacher, really. In the beginning, we learn them to, we all stand in a circle holding around each other saying, we love each other, or we love one another, or how that translates into English, but that's really, and after a while, they actually do. So we start out saying it without meaning it, and then it becomes true. So we do everything different, basically. We do have very short lectures. I'm going to try to stick to the 25 minutes as well. So I'm gonna wrap things up soon. But the short lecture for 25 minutes is good because it allows them to be sure that they know if they find it super boring or if they don't understand nothing about what's going on, they know that in 25 minutes time, we're going to change, we're going to do something else. So they don't sit for hours, not understanding or not being able to move or do something different. The collaborative learning is something we also do quite a lot. We have fixed groups for 6 weeks at a time. We do take social concerns there as well, but also to try to put them together with somebody they don't know and trying to explain to each other. We do have flexi time, so the students can come later or leave early if they have extra time. They get 35 minutes extra time. They can work up every day, and they can take that out whenever they want. And in the beginning or at the end. And we do put grading on effort. So we do measure how much effort they're doing. Because they're doing everything digitally, we do get to see everything they do because they have to hand it in. And then we say, okay, you spent 25 minutes, because that's also 25 minutes. You spent 25 minutes writing this thing for this subject. How much blood and sweat did you put into it? So it's a subjective thing, because we do see where are they grading wise. So do you have like an A, B, C, or D? And what is this? Is this the same, or is it less than we would expect from you, or more than we would expect from you? And then when they do get that, if they are more than 80% on task, then we allow them to have their mobile phones out when they're working with different things, because it doesn't matter. If they can go in and check their Snapchat and then go back to work and still they will be doing the work, we don't care. If it's a huge problem and you don't get the work done, you don't get your cell phone. We do also go to Granada. We just came back now from Spain, having lots of activities. We're moving the whole school and all the teachers to Granada. And we also take all of them to Athens on 10th grade, because we do want, that's like the start of democracy, which is like one of the main values that we have, of course, and human rights that we do focus upon, because we're a humanistic school. So this is a very weird slide, but it says about how they learn. Because what we do is that they can do everything twice. They get the learning goals. This is what you're supposed to know. They get the task. This is what you're supposed to hand in. And they get the video explaining, okay, so this is on Hinduism. What I want you to remember is blah, 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 blah. And then they get, courses and collaboration time and excursions and lecturing and teaching and teaching and teaching. Then and small tasks and everything, and then they hand in a draft. And the draft is read by the teacher. They get back a 5 minutes video on the draft saying, okay, hi, Karen, I looked through your essay on Hinduism. I think you've had a lot of blah, 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 but do more of this and this and that. I see here that you haven't really understood, la, 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 and we can give so much more feedback doing that on camera than otherwise, and they will watch it and they will look at it and they will use it, because they are supposed to hand in an improved submission later, and then they get their assessment and grading, which is very short. It's like good, on task, reasonable sources, above average is what they will get, and then they get their gradings later. So this is a way of making sure the focus is on when they want to learn, which is before they're getting their final grade in the subject. We do see, we have a lot of people think that private schools do have very good students, well-functioning students. We do, but we also do have a lot of people with special education needs. And that is because in Norway, as I said, everybody is mostly going to the public schools. And if you don't find your place there, it's very hard to find a private school. We don't have a lot of them. There's like, I don't know, I think there's like 3-4% of the pupils who are attending private schools. So the ones who are coming to us are not like average. They are people who have parents in culture work because they know about us, because we've been to their cultural, all kind of cultural things, or education, and that's why they know about us. There are people where one is born abroad, because people born abroad are more used to thinking about, should we send our kid to a private school or not? We do have students with social challenges who might get stuck or get or have problems at the school that they had problems getting friends, they were bullied, or all those kind of things. They will come to us and they want like a fresh start. And we see that not a lot of people are choosing our school because it's a humanist school. We have a lot of Christians. We don't have Muslims. The reason for that is that the Muslims are sending or the more conservative Muslims, or very practicing Muslims or whatever, those will send their kids to Catholic schools. So they will go to Christian schools, most of them, because they would rather have God than have like the sinners that we represent. So we have, I think, 2 Muslims every year or something like that. But mostly we will have Christians and Norwegians without any kind of religion background. Okay, so I'll let this be, I think, just to give you a short idea as what we're doing. So please just, ask me anything you would like, or anything you want me to elaborate on. This is just like a quick.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nina. This has been a very good short introduction to all your efforts in Norway. I would ask quickly a couple of questions, and then I will allow people in the audience who I'm sure have questions for you to then pose your questions as well. One of the things that struck me quickly was that the structure of your school sounds very unconventional. No textbooks, everything being digital. How were you able to convince parents, or let us know how challenging it was, or was it challenging to get your first pupils?
Yes, like when we started, nobody had even heard about us. Nobody knew anything, and nothing was ready. So when we had the information meeting, we just had to, okay, this is us. This is what we want to do. This is how we're going to do it, and just hope that people would actually understand and believe in us, really. So the students that came in the first, they were super adventurous people. They were like very positive to risk. Or they didn't see that they had another alternative. So that was a different types of people. Whereas now we have a lot of people coming to us because they know about what we do. They've heard about us through others. But the thing with the digital thing is it's very much debated. In Norway, as in many other Western countries, people are saying like, no, we need to go back to handwriting. The AI revolution is destroying everything in the schools. The students are just cheating. They don't learn anything. And the mobile phone has to go. So we are, I think, the only school in Norway where mobile phones are allowed. And we try to explain to the parents why we do it that way. And it is because we want the pupils to become strong and independent. They need to know how to work their way around their cell phones. So when they have the cell phone in school, they go to the teacher. They say, okay, I got this death threat from this guy I don't know, which happens quite often, actually. What am I going to do about it? Can you help me? Or I got this sexual picture. I feel very uncomfortable. How can I block him? Should I report it? You get all these kind of not good conversations because they do have their phone available. When it comes to teaching and understanding, I think a lot of parents do believe that if you are in front of a screen, you're in front of a screen. It doesn't matter what you're doing in front of the screen. Well, as we try to explain to them and show them in practice how we work, because of course they don't sit with their screen all the time. They do that when they work with tasks, but when they're doing the collaboration work, they don't do it. When we're on excursions, they don't do it, So there's a lot of time where we don't use the screen. So we don't use it as much as they should, Yeah.
I see. I was about to follow it up with screen time, but I think you answered that But one thing that was missing from your presentation, and I want you to sort of tell us, is there something within your own educational experience, either within Norway or outside Norway, that sort of also motivated you or make you have the desire to offer an alternative to younger people?
To my education, you mean?
Yes. Is there anything within your own educational experience, what your educational background was like?
Yes.
And
I come from a family in Kongsberg, which is quite a small city. So we went together with all kinds of people in my class, both very rich people and very poor people. We were like, I don't know, medium minus, maybe something like that. We didn't have a lot of money. So I don't come from money, and I don't come from parents who have a long education. My father has spent 7 years in school, and that was his education. So quite early, they were not able to help me out with my schoolwork. And also I understood quite after being studying at the university, I think for 2 or 3 years, but a lot of the people I was studying with, they had parents that could help them writing their essays. They had parents who knew professors at the university, and I was just completely lost. There was nobody in my family who knew anything about what I was studying. They didn't even remember the name of the subject because they'd never heard about sociology before, you know? So I come from where education is not looked upon as something very useful. It's like, oh, you're being such an academic, you know? Why don't you rather, you know, do some carpentry or that kind of thing is something that has always been valued more in my family. And I'm not very good at carpentry or those kind of tasks. So to me, I wanted to start something that where everybody could feel at home, that they were actually able to get the same possibilities, even though they didn't have parents who knew a lot of stuff or didn't have anybody to help them out. So one thing they do, for instance, is they don't have classical homework. They do study for tests at home, but they don't have classical homework where you do a lot of tasks and hand them in or don't hand them in and just do them. So we have tried to cater for that. We've also tried to make sure that people in Norway, you have to pay a little bit to go to private schools, while as public schools are free. So we have tried to make like 2 free places so people can come without money as well, just to make sure that there's a possibility for everybody to enjoy our school as well.
Interesting. I think there's a good number of humanists, or you have a good secular humanist community in Norway. How have they been supportive, or have they contributed in any way?
They've been very little supportive. The reason I'm sitting in the board now for in the Norwegian Humanist Association. But I didn't, when I was starting the school, I didn't have any roles there. I had just been a member for a couple of years and for a long time, but and did some of the coursing for confirmation. So that was my knowledge of the Norwegian Humanist Association. But when we were getting a no from the government, we did try to reach out to them, but they did not want to help us out. And the reason for that is that they did have in their policy documents that they do not support private religious schools. So they couldn't even support us. Of course, they didn't want us to be discriminated against, but they were not very happy to help us out with the battle, to put it that way.
That's good to know. That's interesting. I see. And your sharpest critics, who have been your sharpest critics? I am imagining from the religious community, but I don't want to assume. But who have been your sharpest critics?
I think there are different things that they react to. When it comes to that, it's a humanistic school. It's mostly people from left side of politics, because they are very against private school in general, and they think that when they opened up for humanistic schools, then like everybody could start a humanistic school or start a private school and call it humanistic, because what is humanistic? Humanistic is nothing, you know? So they thought it was too broad, and the government now has actually put on stronger, that we have to prove stronger that we are actually humanists. And they also wanted the Norwegian Humanist Association to be the one who's supposed to vouch for it. So if somebody wants to start up a humanistic school, they will have to go forward to the Norwegian Humanist Association and tell them, can you write that we are legit humanists, which I don't like at all. And so we have those kind of critics who just don't want to have private schools. Then we do have a very difficult, somewhat connection to Oslo, the community of Oslo. They seem to be trying to cut us out of everything that the other schools are getting. So we have been suing them. We have been taking them to all kinds of discrimination, lawsuits, and all of that to make sure that they fulfill their obligations to the kids we have. Whilst I think they see it as we want more to ourselves, but we really just want the same rights for our students than for all the other students in Norway. And also, of course, the people are very much against the digitalization, and they would rather have us not having textbooks and stuff. But it's like we don't have textbooks, but our students read more than any other pupil in Norway. They read 2,000 pages every year. They need to read 10 pages every day, but there are novels and other types of real books that they read. So now, for instance, I'm doing, I'm having them reading Wuthering Heights, which is like the most analyzed British book ever. So that's what they do now. So they do get a lot of, cultural background and books and reading, but just not reading in textbooks.
I see. I have two more questions, then I can hand over to the audience. So audience, please bear with me. Curriculum development. I'm thinking about that vis-a-vis regulation. It sounds as if you had a lot of leeway in experimenting with curricula. Is that true? Like, how free are you to design your curriculum? And does regulation intervene in any way? And how do you go around it?
We need our curriculum to be, or not the curriculum, but we don't have curriculums. We have competence aims stating this is what the students should know, but they're very broad, so it's kind of hard to interpret what they mean in practice. But we do have to send in our own competence aims, but they never ever get, they don't want them. So when we tried even for, the humanist, the religion subject was even very hard. So we needed to put all the competence aims of the public schools there and add some. We could not take anything away because they don't think it's good enough for the students. So that is, so that is a bit extra. But we can switch around with 25% of the hours in different subjects can be placed different ways. So that's how we can have the Bildung subject, that we can have our own free courses, that we can do that. That is something that there are more flexibility in how many hours on each subject than on the competence aims as such.
Okay. My final question. Earlier on, before we started, you mentioned that in passing that you want to bring your kids to Ghana. But now that you're giving your presentation and I see the trips your students have been on to Athens and all, I'm wondering whether you meant your own kids or your school kids, and whether you're looking to bring your kids to Ghana.
I would love to have all the students of the humanist school to go to Ghana, but I think that's just going to be too expensive, I'm afraid, to go. So I think that will remain a dream. But I do want to bring my kids because I learned so much from my half year in Ghana in Kumasi, and I really there's a special place in my heart, I think, for Africa south of Sahara. I do feel very much at home. I do believe that we have more in common than, for instance, I would have with people in Asia, who seems to be more different from me than people from Southern Africa. So it's just after staying there and after traveling around, I've traveled a lot around in Africa, and I just really appreciate the culture and the openness, and that I do understand when people are angry, when they're happy, when they like me, when they don't like me, which I have a problem with in for instance, China, or even in Thailand. I love Thailand, but everybody's so nice, but I don't know if I upset them or not, because they would never tell me. So it's like, yeah, so I think it's just really, it's a cultural thing. And I think it's because I spent so much time in Africa, I tend to just relax and feel more home there. And I would love my kids to feel the same.
Awesome. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience have a question? Please show by hand and I will let you. Okay, Peter.
Hi, Nina. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I was a bit late, so I missed a chunk of your presentation. However, I have this question that I'll need some clarity on. I'm sure you've probably heard about other humanist schools. And when you hear of them, what is your criteria to determine whether indeed they are humanist schools?
Yeah, I think that's quite different depending on where they're from. And they also do, even in Norway, it's hard. Sometimes I don't understand why is this a humanistic school? How do they get, to call themselves humanistic? Because it's so diverse. There are no real network among humanistic schools. I have met people from humanistic schools in Netherlands and Germany and Belgium. But I think that's about it. But there are supposed to be some, you have in Zambia, the Kasese humanistic schools. I have just been on their homepage, which looked, more aligned with what we do. But there's also supposed to be some in Bonaire or something like that in Caribbeans. And I don't know. For us, it was important to link it to democracy and human rights, because that is like the core of what we believe in. And critical thinking. So we made sure that had a huge place in our school. But I can see that you can make a humanistic school and don't focus so much on that. But I do believe that at least freedom of speech and freedom of religion and those kind of things, that has to be like somewhat in central.
Thank you.
Mubarak.
Thank you, Nina, for the presentation. You're doing great work. I'm learning a lot because I have so much interest in these humanist schools, starting them young, sort of. So my question is, I want to know how far the government goes in maybe interfering in your work, or maybe, let's say, do the government interfere or direct what you teach children, or supervise, or maybe hand you documents that you have to incorporate into your curriculum? Or also, I want to also know if it's maybe at par with the national, if you have a national curriculum, is it at par? Something like if such mainstream schools are teaching these things, then your students have to also know these things, or at least have an appreciation of what other schools are teaching. Is there any kind of interference, or you get to develop your own kind of curriculum and it suffices for the schools maybe final exams, which should be national, in my opinion, in what I would guess.
Yes. Norway is a heavily regulated society on all issues, really. So there are so many rules and regulations on everything. The competence aims, which is the curriculum, is for all the schools. Everybody has to do them. And then you can add some extra yourselves that your children can, but it has to be not instead, it is extra. So that's how that works. We also have a Directorate of Education that makes sure that we follow the law and all the laws and regulations. There are so many laws. I think, I don't know, probably 40 different, from everything to healthcare thing and how to do this and how to that, how to cater for people with allergies, there's so many regulations and we can't skip any of them. And it's also a very heavy weight on Norwegian schools that we are supposed to cater for all kinds of kids all the time. We ended up getting rid of all the special schools in Norway a couple of years ago. So everything should be integrated into the normal school, which means that in my class, we have, for instance, 2 pupils who are, what do you call it? What's the right term for this now? Cognitive disability? I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Yes.
A syndrome, perhaps.
Yes. Some of them have syndrome, some of them have not. But, yes, they have a lower IQ than 70. And people who are extremely in the other part of the IQ, like who has like 160 IQ or something, totally different. And they're in the same classroom. They're both, deserving to be catered for. And we need to find a way to how to fix this. And then we have all this, different diagnoses, different people are having different issues that we have to do. So it is quite it's quite a heavy weight on the schools. On the other hand, we don't have any restriction on what kind of method we want to use. So nobody can tell us that we have to use textbooks or project works or whatever. That's completely free. So to put it in the extreme, you can say you can dance the whole curriculum, and that would be good for the government. Of course, that's not possible, but in theory, you could do it. So, so it's very regulated on a lot of areas, but not on all of them.
Okay, one final question, please. I've seen the system here in Germany, like this organization that is hosting me. They also run schools, and other organizations have seen them run schools up to the university level, not just pupil level, but they also get funding from governments or support. So now that you mentioned that you're regulated, do you also receive support from the Norwegian government, or is just your own volition? And how do you get funding?
Yes, so we get around 80% of what the public school gets is what we get. And then the last 20% is supposed to be paid for by the parents. So the government wants people to pay to go to private schools, basically. Then criticize us for only being for the rich, but okay, they have already said that we have to have that payment. So we try not to charge people too much. So for my school, we have like a 93% of what a public school could have, and then we try to just do things differently so we don't need to spend all that money. But with that money, we also go on 2 trips abroad, which they don't do in public schools. So we do get a lot out of our money comparing to the public schools. So the funding is okay.
Good. I said final question, but I have another final question. Where do you see the schools going? Would it grow? Do you think it would grow? Or do you think maybe people would lose interest?
I think it is growing now, which is why the government wants to have further I don't know, further restrictions on who can start humanistic schools, because they are growing at the time being. We, on the other hand, are not going to grow. And the reason for that is it's very, very difficult to start up a school in Norway. It takes forever. Now you can say, now we have done the paperwork, so we could start another one. That would be easier. But economically, there are no incentive for me to do it. I cannot, get a lot of money out of it. I cannot make money. I cannot, even though we can run things efficiently and making sure we have a surplus, I cannot take out that surplus. That's illegal. So it's illegal to make a lot of money on doing private schools. So, but there's a lot of risk. So when we started up the humanist school, the bank said, okay, so we're going to take a part of your house to make sure that you pay back what you lost. So it's, that's what I had to do, because otherwise there were no way. I didn't have that kind of money. So it is, yes, it's tricky. So that's why we don't expand and do it all over again. So now we made, you know, at least we have good jobs, we like our jobs, and we have fun with it. And so that's good. But then to do it all over again, it's a lot of work and really no pay. And I do have 2 kids as well, and I want to spend time with them as well. And yeah.
Thank you.
Atheist in Kenya, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, Nina, you're good. You're doing a great job. It's such an inspiration to hear what you're doing, and I've listened to the presentation. So I have just one question. The school offers a 3-year program, right? It's a 3-year program. So at what juncture does a child join, or the pupil? Is there a minimum age, you know, that they're supposed to join the school? And also, if they're coming from, so can you be in the public school system at the same time come to the school, this kind of thing?
Yes, it's we are a lower secondary school. So in Norway, you first go to school for 7 years. That's like children's school or middle school or whatever you want to call it. So they go for 7 years. Then they have 3 years of lower secondary school, which is my school type. So then they will first go on public schools or another private school. Then they can move into our school. But then they have to choose if they want to be in my school or the public school or another school. You cannot go back and forth. You can start at my school and then say, I don't want to be here anymore, and then go back to public school. That is possible. But if you're supposed to get into my school, it's like it's every 3 years we're taking in new students, and they're all the same age. So now it's the 2011 people born in 2011 who's in my school now. So next time it will be 2014 course that will come in. So it's like every 3 years we change the whole school. But all the students are brand new. So we don't take in every year, which is, I think we're the only school in the world actually doing that. I think most take in students every year, but we don't.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
Leo Igwe, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Nina.
Hi.
Thanks for the presentation. I just want to let you know that just like Christian schools, the concept of humanist schools is no longer Norwegian or European. It's going international.
Yeah.
And we should also not risk having this kind of, okay, this is African humanist school. This humanist school for Africa is this. You know, there's always this risk that when you mention Africa, you mention something that is completely out of the normal or out of the norm, you know. So, but when you mention it in Europe, you understand it, okay? Yes, and we are somewhere right there now because we are seeing humanist schools coming up, and there's a need for us to have that kind of a benchmark, if it's what the way I could call it. Now, first of all, school has 2 parts: administration and curriculum. Okay, you have given us an idea, but I would like you to emphasize in terms of administration, what makes your school humanist school? Do you have what do you call it, prayer? Do you pray before you start your school and all that? So what makes it administratively a humanist school, so that we can also use that whenever somebody mentions a humanist school somewhere else, we now know that, okay, yeah, that's a humanist school like what you have in Norway. Like when you have a Christian school here, be sure you're going to start them with morning devotion. If it is a Muslim school, they will go with this thing. So I would like you to have this a bit spelled out. That's one in terms of administration. Now, in terms of a curriculum and what is taught, I've listened to what you said. Now, do you teach religion? Do you, where do you stand in the relation to religious, in quote, education? Because these are very important in order for us to make a clear case of humanist school that resonates with the philosophy of humanism. not just African, but philosophy of humanism as understood by every humanist across the world? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a huge question and very has lots and lots of difficulties. When we've been working with it with the Norwegian Humanist Association, we have said, that we do not want to have a role in vouchering for who has the right humanism or not, because when you're starting a school, regardless of what kind of school, it's kind of hard to question people in a way that you actually understand and be sure that they are true humanists, or they can be humanists like, I don't want to be that kind of humanist, and they can be humanists like, yeah, I relate to that kind of humanism. So it is very difficult to be clear on what is the bottom line for something to be called humanistic or not. I think that would have to be democracy and human rights. I'm not sure though. It's going to be hard to be at least clear as to this is humanistic school, this is not humanistic school. In Norway, I know that some of those schools I've seen, I do not understand why they are humanistic schools. I wouldn't have said that, oh, this is very, this I understand immediately why these are humanistic. So I suspect that they would rather make another school, but they use the humanistic school because that's a way around the laws, basically. So this is a situation in Norway. All over the world, there are popping up some humanistic schools, but I'm not really sure who's behind it. At least I haven't seen that there are the Humanist International or the people who are joining us who are starting these kind of schools. So I'm curious to see who are they and why are they starting up a humanist school and why are they not with us if they are humanists? So it's like, but I understand that not everybody wants to be part of a humanistic organization, but and they can still be good humanists, but it is super difficult. As to do we teach religion? Yes. We are very clear on human rights. We are very clear on anti-racism, on having solidarity with the suppressed people around the world, seeing that there are a lot of injustice going on, having huge debates on everything, like from far right rise and all of these things happening, or Israel, Palestine, or whatever. But we don't have all the answers for them. Sometimes we are very clear, like we do believe in rationality, and we do believe in science. Even though science can be wrong, it's the best we have. So this is what we teach our students. So if you write in your natural science that vaccination is not working, you're not going to have a good grade because it's actually not true. We do say that a lot of these practices, spiritual practices, are bogus. They don't work, but they are very powerful. And we try to explain to them, why do people still do it? Why do people still believe? I want them to understand religion. They have also seen like some pre-Christian Norwegian old religion that is coming back again as a new religion. We have taken them to those kind of rituals. We've taken them to Catholic Mass just to see what is it, to feel what they feel, to make them understand why are they there. They feel like they're part of something bigger. So we do that, and we try to teach them why is Islam on the rise? Why is it the biggest or the religion that grows the most? So we do try to teach them about these things. When it comes to humanism, we try to tell them what is humanism from our point of view. We do have in people from the Norwegian Humanist Association as well to talk about humanism. I talk about humanism. And we have every Christmas, we celebrate that the sun is turning, that it's not turning, but when it goes from being darker and darker to being lighter. So we do hand out hot chocolate to people on the streets in Oslo. It's very close up to Christmas, and we wish them, a happy day. So we do try to show our humanism in different ways, but I don't have like a full-on good idea as to see how that kind of framework could be for the world, really.
Okay. Remote mode, please go ahead.
Hi, Nina. Thank you so much for coming and really enlightening us about, your work and everything. And congratulations on 10 years as headmaster of the school, especially learning that you actually started from scratch with it. That's very impressive. And I wish you all the best with that. I think I would also like to find out a bit more, something related to what Leo is asking, because we have a lot of religious schools in Africa. I attended Catholic schools and raised Catholic and everything until university. But even in university, we have infiltration, I would say, of religious influence somewhere between our lectures. At the same time, we have these schools from primary to junior high school to senior high school who do teach science. Some schools may even claim to teach critical thinking and all that, but they are religious schools. So I want to know, how does that make it different from a humanist school? Because if the students are praying and everything at the school, but we are teaching science, we are teaching critical thinking, we are teaching democracy, we are teaching almost everything. Then what's the difference? Then can we say that, are we saying that even religious schools are also humanist schools just because they teach those as well? And where can we differentiate ourselves from that? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that is so hard. We have we just recently got another humanist organization in Norway called the Humanists, which is not the Norwegian Humanist Association. They're very small, but they intentionally wanted to say that everybody can define themselves as a humanist. Even Christians who call themselves Christian humanists are more than welcome with us. If you also have like a spiritual kind of ideas on stars or auras or whatever, you're free to join as long as you identify also as a humanist. So that is something the Norwegian Humanist Association do not want to be affiliated with. We are very much, a secular organization. But I know there has been debates also in other European countries as how hardline you should go from excluding everybody who has like some kind of spiritual ideas to the humanist organization or not. I believe that at least if you're going to separate between like life stance or secular schools or religious schools, that has to be done, because otherwise it makes no sense. Then you can, okay, so now we're going to take a photo of your aura for this year's, you can't do that. And I even had this discussion with one of our teachers who kept asking students about what's your what do you call it, a star sign, like if you're born like fishes or pesks or all this kind of weird stuff.
Zodiac.
Zodiac. And she was like, why can't I ask about that? I find that very interesting. I'm like, yes, but we are a humanistic school. We believe in science. We don't believe in this crap. Everybody knows this has no scientific base at all. So I would rather you don't do that with the kids. So it's but that's people are not thinking about that as a religion. So it's difficult, and it needs to be talked about all the time, because I think most people will think that, oh no, but my kind of religious ideas are so nice, it doesn't matter if I believe in ghosts, I can talk about ghosts, and I've seen my great grandmother, and she told me she loved me, and it's like they do all that and they don't see how that affects the pupils that are sitting there. But of course, I've also been to lots of classes where I talked about this, and then suddenly a student raised their arms and like, oh, my mom, works with aura photography or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But, people like it, and people like to be, told what's going to happen in the future, but that doesn't mean that it's a correct knowledge based thing. So yeah, but it is a huge discussion, those two things. And I see from our point of view, we take a step back when it comes to all kind of religion, trying to filtrate upon what do we know, what do we believe, what do we know, what do you think, what do you like, what do you feel. It's not the same. Feelings are not true. It's, you know, you need to think to be able to understand that if your feelings are telling you something or not, because they're not telling you something in their own terms. So we're we're quite hardcore on that actually in my school, but I know that it's not the same all over.
Thank you. Genesis, please go ahead. Genesis, I think you are muted. We can't hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for your teachings, Nina. I wanted to ask a question about humanist schools. To me, it seems to be something good for this age we are living in, because things are happening in a new way. And for the young children who are coming into this new age, they are coming with different sorts of talents. The old system of schooling many of us went through was limited. Limited in the sense that we could not discover ourselves the ability and capability of doing things. But with this kind of schools, the humanist schools, which to me looks like more of the Montessori kind of teaching, I think these are the schools which will be more meaningful or purposeful for the future generations to come, especially because they will be looking at things that are more connected to them. I'm not talking about anything spiritual. I'm talking about the physical as a human being, because many of them will easily connect with that human aspect of themselves. So this kind of education is very important, and I feel we should really put it into practice, because it is going to define the next generation for the next future. In Africa, I won't say it is difficult. What will make it difficult in Africa is because there's one colleague who has said in Africa, most schools are religious. But I would say schools being religious does not stop other new types of learning or alternative educations from being in existence. You see, so humanist schools, to me, is the new way to new learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, for us, it has been to the core of starting the school that it's more important that the pupils are good people than that they're doing well in school. In order to make sure that you can make a safe place for everybody and to learn and to grow and to prosper, you need first to make it safe and to connect both within the students. We see also, I don't know if it's the same in Africa, but we see in a lot of European countries that after Vogue, we've had this peak with Vogue where everybody was very sensitive to what each other, but also a bit too much, of course, because people were like coming down on everything you said wrong. But now we are more on the anti-Vogue, and what the young people is looking at, they think that, okay, now we could be racist, now we can say a joke about Jews, and they don't understand that the problem with the jokes about the Jews is not whether or not there is a Jew sitting listening to it, but it's like how you think is okay to talk about other people in that way. You think it's funny, you know. And that's something that they struggle to understand. And these are the things that we discussed when I grew up. And I'm quite, you know, it's very, I know that I get old when I understand that the same problems that we had is the same thing that we are still discussing. I thought we were further ahead. And same with democracy. I thought we, you know, it was going to be okay now that, you know, we have done so much good, and the liberal democracy has, you know, everybody must understand that this is the best way of organizing things. And it's not, you know, it's not how it works. So we try to also address that, we need to be there for each other, to build a community, which is also important humanism, I think.
Thank you, Nina. Genesis, if your mic is sorted, please go ahead. Oh, Genesis. I can't hear you. I don't think anyone can. Sorry about that.
I think Genesis can write. You can use the typer just to type what you want to contribute.
Exactly. In the meantime, Leo, please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, Nina, this is just a backup question because I was in Norway and I had a presentation. So I met this lady. I think she's from either Kenya or Ghana, living in Norway. After the talk, she came to me and said that you know, that she told me she was a Christian, but that she agreed with all what the humanist society, all what they were doing, that she agreed with it. And she went to register also as a humanist, but they refused. Okay? Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, what we're saying here now is that that is important, you know, we begin. I told her, yes, I was happy that they refused, you know, because you can't be a Christian and, in quote, register as a Christian, register as a humanist. Yeah, we tend to have agreement, but there are fundamentals without being fundamentalists, okay? In quote. Yeah, I want to say that. There are certain basic principles, you know, because she wants to pray, she wants to think, she wants to have it both ways. And you see, that is actually where we are coming from. Like now, we are not saying that, you know, or, you know, we want to be intolerant or we don't want to exclude people. But a lot of people here have, in quote, simplistic idea of humanism. Oh, nice school where they don't pay a lot of school fees, and you can bring if you are from a poor family, you can bring your children there. We educate the child. You know, the people have very simplistic ideas, and that has not helped our growth and development here. So that you see a school where they say, oh, this is a humanist school. They pray. They have morning devotion. And I tell them, we are not a humanist school. They say, oh, you are a gatekeeper. Who told you to tell us what humanism is? So we have that feeling because I also have this non-religion field, and I try to analyze the manifestations of non-religion in other places. And honestly, I have not read anywhere where they associated praying as part of the non-religion practice, okay?
Yeah.
So a lot of people here, we are running the risk here in the region where people want to have a humanist school and have it at the basis of it's for poor people. You come around, you can pray if you want. You can do any religion if you want. After all, we are humanists. They're just modeling the waters. Let me just say it. And at the end of the day, people are coming with this feeling, oh yeah, but that's African. That's how Africans understand humanity. It is not. It is not. And I get agitated. I get agitated because of that. So I clearly understand where you're coming from, but you are in a society where people understand clearly that you can't register with the Christian society and also register with the humanist society at the same time. I don't know. Yeah, but so what I'm saying here that we are trying to kind of build a foundation so that people will really understand when they say something is humanist, there is some kind of basic understanding of what to expect. You can't go into a humanist school and they will start with prayer. They start the school with prayer. I don't know. Do you think in any way this could be allowed? Because that is a challenge we're having here. People want to define it anyhow, including praying as part of their understanding of what humanism is. I don't know. Does that resonate with you? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, we do have not really that discussion, but a lot of similar discussions, both with as I told about the other humanist organization in Norway who wants to be broader. We also do have a lot of questions concerning our ceremonies that people, for instance, with funerals want to have a lot of Christian songs and psalms, for instance. That's a huge discussion. Should we allow it? How much should we allow? How much? When does it not become a humanistic burial? So these questions, I think, is something we have to battle with all the time, because now more and more people are picking and choosing from different kinds of religions, and they want to have like a little bit of this. They want to meditate. They want to pray. They want to do critical thinking, and they want to be everything. And they don't want to have these borders where you say like, oh, this is Islam, this is Christianity. They want to pick and choose. And when we are a secular society, that gives some problems for us, because we are not as positive, especially in the Norwegian Humanist Association is not very positive. The other one is, but we're not very positive towards, spiritual activities. And to vouch for that and say that's no problem. You can always, pray a little bit. So it's but it is difficult, and it's something we constantly are debating how strict we are going to be. As it comes to the Norwegian system, is that you cannot be a member of more than one. You can be a member of how many different religious organization you want, but the one who's supposed to get money from, because all of these are state funded, so they give money to the church and to all the other religious and non-religious lifestyle communities. And if they are member more than one place, we don't get any money from them. So that's why when people say they want to become a member of the Norwegian Humanist Association, we ask them also to give up on church, which is hard for some of those people. And then they can,
Thank you, Nina. We have room for, I think, 3 more questions. I see 2 questions now, so we need a third. I'll now read Genesis's question to you, Nina. I want to ask how you incorporate critical thinking into all the subjects you teach, as you mentioned in your presentation. Secondly, how do you help the children to dispel superstitions?
Yeah. As for the first questions, we do have it written down how we do it. For instance, when it comes to the subjects that are just our subjects, the building subjects, we try to teach them about common psychological things. Like, for instance, give them an idea of psychological experiments that has been tried out, and tell why do people tend to do these things in these situations. For instance, when they see smoke coming out, if nobody's reacting, you won't react. You will just sit there, see the room getting filled with smoke before somebody does something. Those kind of things we go through with them very specifically. We also teach them about, in-group and out-group. Why do we need always somebody to be on the outside? Because then we will feel better within ourselves. So we do that. In food, for instance, we have cooking classes. There we teach them about what do you think about the focus on calories, on weight, on what do you think about the Norwegian government saying to you what, because we do in Norway, we are heavily regulated, so we do say what people should eat or not, and they should eat more than 5, vegetables and fruits a day, and all these kind of things. Very, very strict. And what do you think about it? Is this a good way of doing things? Is it not a good way of doing things? In mathematics, we look at statistics, for instance. How can you lie with statistics? What do the statistics really tell you something about? What do we don't know so much about? Why is social science method totally different from natural science? And what does that say about the results for natural science or social science? So we do all of that. When it comes to superstitions, we do teach them why. Why does this come? Because we are all kind of prone to magic thinking. For instance, I try to tell them a quote that a psychologist once told me, that, okay, you take a note, on your note, you write down the thing in life this is most important to you, where most people write, the parents or the kids or their partner or something. Okay, and now I want you to look at that and look at that person and think that this person is going to die tomorrow, a car accident, and then you're going to burn the note. And a lot of people find it very, very hard to do so, me included. It's very, very hard. It's not that I believe that that's going to happen. If that's what I'm thinking, of course it's not going to happen. But just to do it is, it's extra weight. So we do have a lot of those kind of things with us. We do look for patterns, even though when they're not there. I have also done something which is maybe on the verge of ethical, but I did know my students very well. So I took one of my students and I said, okay, I'm going to do some cold reading with you guys, okay? I'm going to show you what it is. So I put up one of those I trusted, and I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you a lot of things about yourself now. And I started with, okay, you have 3 women in your life. You're a good friend, blah, 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 all these things that they always say. And of course he found it and he's like, oh, that's so weird. You actually knew all these things. I never told you. And I'm like, no, I don't know all these things. It's like what everybody has. Sometimes you're strong, sometimes you feel horrible. It seems like you're saying something about you, but you're really saying something about everybody. But it seems very powerful because somebody's looking to you saying it. So you could, show some of those things, show some of the frauds that has been made, and also how much you do want to understand. Like if you miss your mom and your mom is dead, of course, I would love to talk to her, so much that you might believe something that you otherwise wouldn't.
AJ Surin, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Nina. This is AJ from Humanist Malaysia.
Hi.
I'm just taking into account Leo Igwe's viewpoint on secular humanism, and that we have to be clear about it, and what you also opined about how it is actually applied to your school and also in Norway. I want to share about humanism in Southeast Asia and specifically in Malaysia, of course. Even though secular humanism is an alien concept in Southeast Asia, Muslims here have a concept called Islamic humanism. Yes, and even our Prime Minister in Malaysia has a political concept which includes humanism, although of course in a very religious Islamic sense. There's also what is actually called Christian humanism, and the membership of Humanist Malaysia has, debated in length and has had a lot of debates about admitting people of different religious flavors, including people who believe in spirits, into our membership. But we are hard pressed to do that because of the fact that 4 member organizations of Humanist International, there is actually a criteria which states that member organizations must adhere to the minimum statement on humanism, which is defined by Humanist International. So in that sense, I just want to, ask whether your school has some type of a rule or a regulation which has the family being humanist in that minimum humanist statement sense of the philosophy that Humanist International has, or if not, then how do you know whether or not the families whom actually send children to your school are actually secular humanists in that sense? Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, we cannot decide who wants to start in our school. It's open for everybody, and it has to be open for everybody according to Norwegian law. So we are not able to distinguish between humanist pupils or people from humanist families or people from Christian families. We do, though, have in our contract and our meetings, we do focus on telling people this is a secular humanist school, and what does that mean? And they have to sign in the contract that they say yes, that we're going on the secular humanistic school. Because we see that parents are like, why aren't you catering more to Christian confirmation or Christian traditions? Why do they not go to church for Christmas, you know? And we're like, because we're a secular humanist church, not a secular humanist school. So we don't go to church for Christmas. This is, we don't celebrate Christmas because Jesus was born. We celebrate Christmas because it's a cultural thing in Norway that people do, you know, come together as a family and celebrate, you know, love, give each other gifts. We don't, you know, we don't do the religious stuff. So, but we cannot distinguish for those who wants to come with us. So the only thing I know about those families are those who told it myself that they are Christians or they are not Christians. And very interesting that you have those Muslim humanists in Malaysia. They would not call themselves that in Norway, but they will call themselves secular Muslims. So the secularity is almost the same. And some of those should actually be able to join the Norwegian Humanist associations, but we don't have a lot of diversity there now because it's so hard and so frowned upon in the Muslim communities in Norway that you would go to that length. So the organization they have is like secular Muslims of Norway or something like that, which is quite harsh against Islam. So they are a bit different than the Norwegian Humanist Association.
Thank you, Nina. Before we wrap up, I would like to give Mubarak the opportunity to share his contribution or question with you, so you respond, and then we'll wrap up. So Mubarak, please read it yourself. Thank you. In your own way, in your own voice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I wrote something. I thought I wouldn't have time to speak. What I just wanted to confirm something, that with regard to exposure of children to schools, or my experience where we have all these isolated societies where they want to be as monolithic as possible. So we were taught only one culture and one religion. So now my idea on how to reverse it is, if we have such kind of school, especially for pupils, is to expose them to all the religions that are around in the society. If the government regulations would allow it, maybe introduce Islam moderately, and then Christianity, and then the traditional religions, especially the diverse. You know, you have a broad belief system in Africa before the Abrahamic religions. I don't know how the regulation would work, but I believe this is the best way to introduce children and then allow them to understand. If they want to choose to be religious, fine, but the school should at least be responsible for the introduction, so that even if the parents are trying to indoctrinate them in a way, or the society, because sometimes it's not the parents, it's the society, at least they have the idea, the broader idea of how these things work. So this is what I thought could be possible. I don't know if it's a right idea.
Yeah, I very much believe in that. I do think that we should teach children about religion. I'm very into religion myself. I'm studying history of religion for 2 years, but I I also think, they need to see where things are coming from. So what we try to say is like, okay, why does Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have so much in common? It's, come from the same place. It's like probably, renewal every time and blah, blah, blah. So we try to, to paint that for them. And all the myths that you have in, like, the myth of flooding is like in so many religions, you have that same myth, basically. And it's like to try to understand that, how religion started as to control and understand the society you live in. That was like a big part of, making sense of what's going on around you. And also then to get some support to, okay, so not everybody believes what you believe. And what you believe maybe because your parents told you. Like in Norway, you're most likely to be Christian, Muslim, or humanist, because those are the three most prevalent religions. So you wouldn't be a Hindu or a Buddhist. You could, but, it's not free choice. It's because you haven't been exposed. You don't understand that that was, something that you could do. So it's those, I really do believe in that, to open up also, to feel like you have some kind of freedom in determining what do I want to believe in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina. And with that, it's time to close the curtains on this month's edition of Reason Rising. It's been great and very insightful talking to Nina. And I've learned so much. And I want to say thank you again, especially for producing those slides at a very short notice when I suggested it. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I would also like to thank Eugene Appiah Amankwah, who is like my silent co-pilot on here, keeping things running smoothly. And I would like to thank everyone who attended today, including those who asked all of you who asked very thoughtful and insightful questions, which, though addressed at Nina, is also addressed to all of us, especially those of us who are parents, guardians, in thinking about how we shape young minds that are the future of humanity. Thank you so much for your presence today. You've contributed to something that is going to keep educating us, something that we'll keep returning to. Before we go, I'd like to say that the next edition will feature something on the Big Bang Theory. And so anybody who is into science or wants an update on the origins of the universe, please don't miss it. All right. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Love you guys.